Hello, welcome again to Off-Road Endeavor. It is August 10th, 2026. I have confidence in my choice with Jake and NorCal Steel Buildings. I'll get into exactly kind of how that came about to really prove his involvement and his contribution towards the customer to make their experience and their building the best that it can be. So after I got into contract, there was a few little design changes that we did. Some of it was just some color changes on the trim and where that would terminate and change colors for like the wainscoting or the panel walls. Some of it was soffit or not. Wall height, that was another thing. So the county had restricted me to a tall eave peak of 15 feet. So I had changed the design down to 13'6", all just kind of easy numbers, right? 13 is a even foot mark, 6 is half. It's just, 0.5. So, I mean, happy, easy math, right? Well, that left me with 3 inches at the top variance, which was like, well, if they pull a tape measure, I'll have a little bit of room, trim, whatever. But the more we talked about it, the more we knew that we could get closer to that 15-foot height, and that was what the plans were going to show. The trim has this much depth to it on top of the rafters, so we were comfortable going a little bit higher. The benefit of that is just going another 2 inches up on the wall and the header space over the roll-up doors. It allowed us to get that full 12-foot tall door in for Bay 1 and Bay 2. So that was a nice little benefit. And we worked through the design changes and we changed a couple of things. One of the neat things about doing that is that Jake, in the calculations, recognized that the column width went from, I think, a 6 to a 12 or a 6 to a 10 somewhere, or an 8 to a 12. But he was able to double the columns and reduce their width so I could maximize my interior space. So that was just a simple thing that him knowing his systems and those cold form steel buildings of how the just design changes could make that extra space on the interior. So I appreciate that. So it was all done and signed off. Contracts, yes, go out to engineering and have them do all the calculations and get it set up and ready for stamped engineering plans. Well, I go to work and we have a 2-post lift at work. I am going to put a 2-post lift in bay number 1. Well, part of the design that we were going over was how much room we would have around that 2-post lift. So as we did it, we were looking at pushing that 2-post lift as far over to the side as we could to maximize the straight line entry from the vehicle coming into the bay. The problem is, when I was at work and I'm looking, if my 2-post lift is up against the wall for the most part, trying to get access around immediately blocks me from getting by. And I wasn't really thinking through that. It was just like, okay, bay 1, 2-post lift, 2, that's my fabrication area. And there I was staring at a 2-post lift, realizing I wouldn't even be able to change the tires on one side because that wall would be there. So I went home, opened up my CAD, and now that I'd had some preliminary construction drawings from Jake, NorCal Steel Buildings, I was able to go in and put in the actual column thicknesses. I was able to put the setbacks from the outer edge of the foundation. I was able to get the detail of my interior space in real time in that CAD design. I had at work taken and measured the bolt locations, the posts, the angles, the columns, the arms that stick out, everything. Got all that, went back to my CAD program that night, and then CAD designed that 2-post lift in my drawing and then placed it where it was going to go. And certainly it wasn't going to work for me. I ended up with 1.5 feet from where the outside of the vehicle would be to the wall. So again, I couldn't even take off a tire, right? So I thought, well, great. It's already done engineering. I've already paid, It's already been sent off. What do I do now? And so it came to making an adjustment. So we turned back around and I thought, I'm basing this trying to fit everything into that 30 by 50 shape. Just that standard building size that a lot of the companies have. And I was trying to stay, symmetrical bays and fit it within that. And I thought immediately, I can go bigger. This is a custom building. This is a building designed by me for me and my intended use. And so I thought, instead of 50 foot, how about 51 feet? How about 52 feet? Where is that going to line up? Let's think outside the box and build a bigger box. So I went into that, changing the drawings, adding some space, and then realized, looking at the preliminary construction plans that Jake from NorCal Steel Buildings had sent over, there was also a sheeting plan. So I could look at all the sheets and how they lined up on that building and realized, okay, right now I'm 1 foot in, so I'm cutting off a foot of a panel. If I add a foot, that gives me that full panel that I don't need to trim down. But a foot's not going to give me enough room to walk around. I really need space around that lift if I'm building suspension, building rock sliders, those different things. So I thought, well, if I have a 3-foot panel for the sheeting, I'll go 4. So that'll fill me up on that extra foot that wasn't used, plus 3 more, and then I'll be at a 54-foot width. CAD designed the extra width in there, and everything looks good. I'll have plenty of room to work around that. My square footage, because of the county, I'm maxed at 1,678 square foot of the home. But for the shop, I can't go larger than that. So the 50 by 30 building gave me a 1,500 square foot floor pan. So that was within. I had some leeway. And so when I expanded it, I did the calculations, and I ended up at 1,620 square feet for the foundation. So I'm within my allowable square footage. I've got the extra room around the bay. I don't need to move that 2-post lift into bay 2. I really didn't want to do that because I didn't want those 2 posts in the middle between bay 1 and 2 and between bay 2 and bay 3. I wanted to keep it over to the side, and this is going to allow me to do that. So here's the dilemma. Do I wake up every single day with a 50 by 30 building and hope and wish that I would have changed something in the design and in construction before the construction phase? And I knew that if I just left it like it was, I would be kicking myself every single time. So I sent a long email to Jake explaining kind of what my mind went through and what I looked at in my CAD design, the extension from 50 to 54 feet, and then give me that extra room there, keeping the other bays symmetrical, but just increasing that one. So it would be from 12.5 feet to 16.5 feet. Also, I wanted to widen that bay door. Now that I've got a 16-foot bay, I can put a 12-foot bay door in there, 12 wide, and that'll allow me plenty of room for dualies or big things to get in and out. And he was more than gracious. I asked him just to pause engineering if possible, and he did. We went over kind of the adjustments. Everything looked perfect. He said all the panels lined up, and there wasn't going to be any problems long term, now or down the road either. So we agreed on those changes, sent them back to engineering, and lo and behold, in 2 days, well, this is a little bit review, we got the engineering plans back. So this video is all about confidence in choice, and certainly Jake from NorCal Steel Buildings, I am confident in my choice in selecting them for this build, how he has the little details in the construction design portion to make sure that you're getting what you want and that it's best suited for you and your project. And I really feel that with my project now. So follow along. We're moving a little bit faster. We're getting in the middle of the rapids and we're rushing downstream. So next is going to be getting into that permit phase with the county, and so we'll see where that goes. But again, confidence and choice with NorCal Steel Buildings, Jake, owner operator, and I appreciate their commitment to this project with me. If you have any comments or questions, always happy to entertain those, so throw them down below and we'll see how we can answer them for you. Follow along as we move on our project for Off-Road Endeavor.